Course creation statistics are everywhere. 70% completion rates. The industry has grown 900%. There's going to be 57 million online learning users in 2027. 42% revenue increase. The problem with these statistics is they come from different industries, different contexts, and sometimes they come from the course platforms themselves. Hi, I'm Dr. Catrina Mitchum, and I've been designing and redesigning courses online since 2009. And my expertise in research and rhetoric tell me to question all of this. So I Googled online course creation statistics. The first 3 sources that came up all had this problem, and they were all published this year. So 2025, if you're watching this at a future date. So all 3 articles are doing different damage on different scales, right? So the first one that I opened and looked at very specifically has a citation, an in-text citation, right? So it lists the source and then the year that the source published. What it doesn't have that's really telling is actual links to those sources, right? For all we know, they made this up, or they asked AI and AI made these up. They also conflate the industries, right? So higher education, corporate training, and the course creation industry are 3 separate contexts. Those 3 groups need to treat teaching and learning differently because of the contexts that their learners are in. So when headers like future of online learning, where education is headed, that include statistics from sources that talk about higher education, that come from corporate, and that talk about the independent courses sold on the market as if they are all the same thing. They are not. The thing about this article that's particularly suspicious is it has all of this data about how great online learning is, which it is, I'm a proponent, and ends with that statistic about how businesses and coaches are using courses to do all of these things, and that the market is expected to reach $1 trillion by 2032. Immediately following this statistic is a pitch to start your online coaching business with a call to action that is to sign up for this free How to Structure a Group program, right? So they've used all of these numbers and conflated all of these contexts in order to be able to sell you something. That is a problem. The second article that I found does the same thing in conflating where this information is coming from, does worse by not even bothering to include who originally published it. So the first one at least pretended and then didn't link to the sources. The second one just listed information without even mentioning where the information came from. It also had outdated information. This was a 2025 list with information from 2016. It is not the same market in 2025 as it was in 2016. And you can go find that anywhere. There's a bajillion other YouTube channels that are talking about this. They also have information and statistics about the specific platforms. But this is assuming that having a large number of users on the platform means that it's a good idea to create a course. That is a logical fallacy. It's called the bandwagon fallacy, and it says lots of people are doing X, and so X must be right for you. And the last article that I looked at was perhaps the most disappointing. While this person did at least not only cite the sources as it was giving most of the statistics, it did also link back out to those resources. But in at least one case, it was citing article number 2, when article number 2 didn't have a source. It also was very disappointing because of all of the articles. It was written by somebody that is an instructional designer, and so should have taken the context into consideration. Even the ID gurus are falling into this problem of taking and using numbers outside of the context. So why are these patterns a problem? First of all, the one that drives me crazy the most is the context conflation. So conflating means that they are giving the information as if all of these contexts are the same. Universities have entire departments of instructional designers to support teachers in developing online courses that are intended to help students get from point A to point B. So, number one, they're well resourced. Number two, the learners are there with a different goal than someone coming and buying your course that you've been hosting on a platform. When a college student signs up to get a degree, get a certificate, or even just take a one-off class, the end goal is typically a job, right? They are coming and they're doing the work because the goal at the end is for them to have the experience and information to be able to go do a specific job. They are motivated by different things. If they don't finish the course, they fail. They still don't get their money back. They may have to repeat it if they're going to reach that goal. There's different consequences, different reasons for coming, and that makes it different enough that these statistics don't apply to your situation if you're not teaching in an institution. The second context that just gets thrown into this pile of numbers is corporate training. Again, different motivations. Sometimes corporate training is thrown onto an employee when the training isn't actually solving a real problem. It should be, if it's done well, the training solves a specific company problem. And so it's really this problem solution cycle, right? That's what corporate training in its ideal form looks like. Again, a lot of large companies have entire teams dedicated to learning and development of their employees to help solve company problems. Different purpose, because now we're about problem solving for the boss, right, for the job, or we're about professional development, right? And this is professional development that can lead to raises or promotions or the kinds of things that might be a little more motivating than a piece of paper. It's a different situation because they are doing it for different reasons, different motivations, and different potential consequences, right? If I don't do my cybersecurity training at the university that I work for, I don't get to teach. Different consequences. The third context that gets thrown into this mix is what we're going to call the course creation industry, right? These are the courses you can go to Udemy or you can go host it yourself on a different platform. You're basically creating a course that you are selling all on your own. That comes with much different motivations, right? The only thing that connects the three is they're hoping for a change. They're hoping for a change in job, a change in position, and a change within the company. In the case of selling your own courses, they are hoping to change some situation, but their motivations are different. They come with the anticipation of getting whatever job they think needs to be done. So sometimes there is a disconnect between what they're expecting and what you're giving, and you need to make sure that that's not the case because the motivations are different. They may have paid money for it, but that doesn't mean that they think they can actually get the change that they came for, right? There's nothing pushing them to do it. The consequences are also different because guess what? The only consequence is they've lost money on it. And sometimes if they think they're behind or they think that your course sucks or they think they can't get what they need, the money doesn't matter anymore because their time going forward is more important than the money they have already paid you. And then they're not willing to do anything about it. Okay, so the second problem in these patterns that I'm seeing in these articles is the outdated and recycled data, right? So everyone's citing the same old studies, or they're using study from one context that was done a long time ago to apply to another. My favorite one is the 15 to 20% completion rate comes from a study done on MOOCs. MOOCs are massive, open, online course. They are free courses offered by universities. They are free and get like thousands of people that enroll in them. The completion rate is tanked because there's no instructor. There's no feedback. There's no anything. It's just the activities and the content and you do it yourself. Not the same context as course creation industry or corporate training, or it shouldn't be, right? We shouldn't be in the course creation industry expecting to get a whole bunch of people into a space and then just dump them. That's why we would potentially have those kinds of completion rates. And problem 3 is that even the gurus are doing this, right? The people that we're supposed to trust to give us the right information are ignoring learning experience design, and they're not acknowledging this gap in the infrastructure, right? Higher education and corporate training both have entire teams to build courses. They have teams that also have had training in how people learn and how to develop. Now, not all of them think about it in terms of user experience as well, but they're getting there, right? That is a trend that we're starting to see. I just saw a job ad the other day that perfectly incorporated learning experience design into the call. When we're looking at course creation, it is not an entire team. It's a completely different context with completely different learners that have completely different purposes, with completely different jobs that they need to do to create the change that they want. So why does this disconnect in all of the numbers and using the numbers to tell wildly inappropriate stories? Why does this matter? Because solo creators, or even creators that have a small team, see that information and think, oh, I can do that. But what they don't realize is that the statistics are from situations that are not comparable to theirs. They're from situations where the people have entire teams to help them do the development of the learning based on learning science that they don't have. And they end up copying kind of surface level formulas based on that inflated data. This platform has got this many users, it's going to be worth this much money. Oh, I should create a course too. And then we've got a bunch of time and energy that have gone down the drain because it hasn't been done in a way where people can actually learn from it. And this is how we end up with so many shitty courses in the online course industry. They're missing an actual foundation of data that can be used to help you do the creation. So course creators are making business decisions based on data that doesn't apply to them. So the course creation industry is full of a ton of BS. One BS spot is their statistics. So I am going to do my own research with real course creators. If that's you, please take my course creation survey and I will send you the results when it's ready. The link is in the description. In my next video, we're going to talk about why copying that successful course creator's formula is the doom of your own course.